ISAs can help you build serious wealth, even reach millionaire status, but you need to avoid these 5 common mistakes. If you're new to my channel, I'm Kiran. I'm a qualified chartered accountant and experienced tax professional. Let's get straight into the first mistake, which is not investing in a stocks and shares ISA. So a stocks and shares ISA is one type of ISA that allows you to invest in the stock market whilst shielding your returns from income tax and capital gains tax. And I want to illustrate how that works with a simple example. So say that 10 years ago, you invested £10,000 into Tesla. I wish I had done that, but unfortunately I didn't, because as at the time of filming, you would have £300,000. If you had invested that outside of a stocks and shares ISA, your gain, which would be just under £300,000, would be subject to capital gains tax. But if you had invested through a stocks and shares ISA, that gain would be completely tax-free, leaving you with around £300,000 in your bank account to spend as you want. I'm not suggesting that you stock pick, because this is an extreme example, but I'm just trying to show you how a stocks and shares ISA works. Even though the stocks and shares ISA has incredible tax advantages, only 15% of UK adults had a stocks and shares ISA in 2025, because most people prefer to save cash. And I think that's because cash is often seen as being safer and investing in stocks can seem complicated and daunting. But that's a huge problem, because inflation erodes the purchasing power of cash. Although I'm sure if you are watching this video, you already know that, and I'm sure that you are already investing in the stock market to some extent. But if you're not, then just know that by prioritizing cash and avoiding the stock market altogether, you are missing out on potentially higher returns. And if you're not investing through a stocks and shares ISA, you're missing out on being able to shield those returns from tax. And the reason I say that you're missing out on higher returns is because since the ISA was launched in 1995, stock market investments have significantly outpaced inflation and cash savings. So if we look at this table from AJ Bell, it shows that if you had invested £1,000 every year into a cash ISA since 1999, you'd have 36k in 2025, but you'd have 127k if you'd invested in a North American index like the S&P 500. But it's important to remember that your investments can go down as well as up, and you could get back less than you invested. Let's move on to mistake number 2, which is not investing early enough. Sorry to interrupt, but 80% of people who watch my videos are not subscribed. So please do me a huge favor, and if you are enjoying the video, then hit that subscribe button, because it costs you nothing, but it really helps my channel to grow. Back to the video. Inevitably, when you invest, there will be good years and bad years, because investing is supposed to be a long-term game. The average stock market returns, when adjusted for inflation over the last 30 years, has been somewhere between 6 and 8%. So to illustrate this, let's say that you started investing £150 a month from the age of 16 into the stock market rather than spending the money. By retirement age, you would have almost £1 million. I know that most 16-year-olds are not going to be able to save £150 a month, because they will most likely be in school or college, but this is just to illustrate how compounding works when you invest over the long term and how you can ride out short-term market volatility. Generally, the shorter your timescale for investing, the less risk you should take. So if you know that you will need to access your money within the next 5 years, then you might be better putting your money into a cash savings account or a cash ISA, because you could experience bad years and then lose money when you really need it. But if you can afford to invest your money over the long term, say at least 10 years, and you know that you won't need to touch that money, then generally you can afford to take more risks. And then investing in the stock market, and especially investing through a stocks and shares ISA, can start to make sense. Mistake number 3, thinking tax relief is available through an ISA. An ISA is a tax wrapper because it shields any gains from capital gains tax, and it shields any interest and dividends from income tax. But an ISA doesn't actually provide tax relief, and that's where most people get confused. It's only pensions that provide tax relief, because when you pay into an ISA, your contribution is made post-tax and you don't get any tax relief back on the tax that you've already paid. But with a pension, it's effectively made from pre-tax income, or at least you get tax relief back if you've already paid tax on your contribution. And I'll illustrate how it works with an example so that it's super clear. So let's say that you're a basic rate taxpayer and you pay £500 into your pension. The government will top up your contribution by 25%. So they will put in £125. So the total contribution into your pension that month is £625, but it's only cost you £500. And that contribution by the government is 20% income tax relief, because £125 is 20% of the total £625 contribution. If you wanted to end up with £625 in your ISA, you would actually have to earn £780 roughly gross, because your gross income will be taxed in order for you to be able to put in that £625. So your £625 contribution actually costs you somewhere around £780. If you are a higher or additional rate taxpayer, a pension can start to make even more sense, because you get to claim tax relief at 40 or 45% in line with your income tax rate. So let's say that you're a higher rate taxpayer and you put £500 into your pension. Well, the government would again top it up by £125, but you would be able to reclaim an additional £125 through your self-assessment tax return. So in that example, your £625 contribution into your pension has actually only cost you around £375. So that's why pensions are more tax efficient than ISAs. But in reality, you need a combination of both, because with a pension, you can only access your pension at a certain age. So with a private pension, it's currently the age of 55. With a state pension, it's currently the age of 66. But most people will start to want to wind down or retire earlier than that. And that's where an ISA can be hugely helpful, because it can bridge that gap between middle age and the age when you can actually access your pension and retire properly. So you do need to have a combination of both, because with an ISA, you can take out your money and any gains that you've made, again, they're completely tax-free. So it can really help to supplement your salary if you drop your working hours, or if you get to retirement age and your pension's not enough, then it can help to supplement your pension income. Next, thinking that ISAs are only for high earners or big savers. Don't make the mistake of thinking you need to have lots of money or a large lump sum in order to start investing through an ISA, because like we spoke about, it's more important that you start early and you give your money more time to grow and compound. So for most people, that means drip feeding some money into their ISA each month. And in practice, that probably means setting up a payment into your ISA each month from your wage. And it could be something as small as £50. And particularly with a stocks and shares ISA, that will mean that sometimes you're buying shares when they're priced high, but sometimes you're buying shares when they're priced low. So what happens is any price fluctuations are smoothed out, and that's something known as dollar cost averaging. Essentially, it means that you are not trying to time the market, and instead you're just buying stocks at the same date every single month, and you are smoothing out any changes in the price. It's actually far more important for most people to create the habit of investing and to learn how to invest, rather than trying to time the market and have the stress of trying to buy when the price is low. Next, forgetting about fees. When you invest through a stocks and shares ISA, you will need to buy investments, but you will pay fees when you buy an investment, hold an investment, and sell an investment. And the fees that you pay can impact how much your investments grow, and even small fees can really start to add up. Different platforms will charge different fees for each of these steps. Typically, a passively managed ETF will have lower fees than when you buy or sell individual stocks. But there are some platforms that don't charge anything for buying or selling individual stocks or funds, and instead they make their money through more complex products like CFD trading, which most investors don't get involved in. So just make sure that you are investing through a low-cost platform, or just check what your fees are and compare them to other platforms. Thank you for watching. See you next time.